Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third installment of our African Waste Academy webinar series 1. Today we have our Young Leaders and Experts Exchange program participants, Steve and Dee Allen, who will be sharing their exciting and hair-raising research on microplastics. Just a few house rules. Please, if you wouldn't mind, to note the questions and wait till the end of the presentation, where we will take part in about a 20-minute question, answer, or discussion session. If you are unable to speak or your audio is perhaps not working, please just type your question in the chat in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, and we will read it out to everyone, and Steve and Dee will answer your question. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us, and I'm going to hand over to Steve to start his presentation.
Thanks very much, Steph. Excuse us for the technical glitch. Okay, we're on. Thanks all for coming. This is going to be more of a how-to for microplastics research, including a bit of information about our research in the French Pyrenees. And if I talk too fast or too quietly, just let us know in the chat boxes. Okay, ACU, the Association of Commonwealth University Blue Charter Fellowship. The idea is to send 35 ACU fellows out around the world, the Commonwealth countries, to try and gather information and share knowledge on saving our marine ecosystems, things like overfishing, pollution. These slides may not go in order, so we could have some exciting times coming up. Yeah, I'm sure you all understand the problems we're currently facing with marine pollution, marine litter, plastic waste entering our oceans, and this is a global issue. We've seen it in Panama, we've seen it in many other countries, and unfortunately we're seeing it in Africa. Now, this was a recent study by LeBreton, which gave basic forecasts on the future expectations of litter. Now, Africa, of course, is not showing well here. I don't know if you can see my mouse scrolling on Zoom. Yeah. No matter which way we look at it, Africa's not bad. Asia is worse. But, as you can see, the mismanaged proportion is the dark circle in the middle. Now, as I mentioned before, 63% of global plastic waste is mismanaged, but Africa's rate is 88.5%, which is untenable. This image here we actually took just up the road from the offices here in Port Elizabeth. First, seabird stomachs in the 1960s. They actually went back and tried earlier as well. In general, we have all focused microplastic research on right. Okay. Okay, yeah, most microplastic research has been on seas and marine life. We're just starting now to look at European freshwater rivers and lakes, and some minor as well. Found in agricultural soils, floodplains, city roads, and Arctic ice. We actually have a project running at the moment on an Arctic expedition to sample for microplastics in ponds on the ice. Now, the gyromarine sampling, as you can tell, is not actually a lot being done. There's quite a few out of America and a few random trips around the world crossing the gyres, but there's just not enough data to even begin to make the models correct. There's LeBreton and Machinchenko have done some work on attempting to model these gyres and model the transport. However, they just don't have the data. They're not even including the coastlines of the world, which obviously is a large part of what we're looking at. Now, this is pretty damning. This is the amount of research coming out of Africa. It's an entire continent here which is lacking in data except for Australia and South Africa. So our project line, look at that. This is the one that hit home the most for me. They found it in beer. The Germans did a study and found particles in beer bottles. We found it in tap water, including our own study in Scotland's tap water. It's in salt. It's in bottled plastic water, 6 particles a litre. The remote floodplains that they studied in Switzerland, a very good study done by the Swiss on that, but they assumed that it was caused by flooding, pushing the plastics up on the floodplains. Agricultural soils, unfortunately in many places in the world, they're actually using this as a sort of improvement. They're forcibly putting microplastics into the soil. They're also using human waste, effluent, which although they do filter many of the particles out, it still winds up on our soils in farming. City road dust in Tehran. They vacuumed up some city road dust and found large amounts of plastic in there, obviously. And city air. Dongguan, China, and Paris, both megacities, have had large amounts of plastic falling. Right. Micro and nanoplastics. Right. Nanoplastic is extremely difficult to see. The picture down here on the left you'll see is an SEM photograph which merely shows virgin laboratory grown nanoplastics. We only know they're nanoplastics because they were placed there. You can't tell from an image like that whether the particle is a plastic or if it's something natural or organic. We know that no plastics are formed. There was a study done on coffee cup lids just recently which showed that nanoplastics were actually coming off it by changes in the surface that the nanos were coming off. But they were coming off in place under normal conditions. And this is as far as we know. This is what actually worries most scientists now. Is that these images on the left are actually images of medical nanomaterials used to carry drugs into certain parts of the body. They use them because they can pass gut barriers, blood-brain barriers, and into muscles and the other organs. And you'll notice that these shapes are very similar, rough surface shapes down here on this SEM image of actual wild nanoplastics. These were semi-wild. They generated them in the lab by exposing wild plastic, microplastic, to ultraviolet light to try and generate smaller nanoplastics. And this image here of the scallop is a study done where they used 28 nanometer and 250 nanometer polystyrene traceable nanoplastics. And this is after 6 hours of being exposed to what they considered to be environmentally consistent amounts. So you can see that every part of the animal has nanoplastics in it. This is after 8 days in clean water, and the amount that's managed to be pushed out of the animal. What they found was that the 250 nanometer particles were staying up to 2 months. Particles seem to be able to come in and out without any trouble whatsoever. What this means is that any materials, any toxins that the nanoplastics have picked up in the environment, including POPs, heavy metals, toxins, pesticides, which absorb readily to plastics because they're hydrophobic. Any of those materials can be delivered to any part of the organism, including us. So, a little bit on our research. What we did was we looked at if it's where we think it is in lakes, soil, rivers, and the sea, how far did it get? And did it go into the air? Everyone's seen a plastic bag on a fence. They call them African flowers, a plastic bag flying around the bushes. So we would look a little bit higher than most. And what we found was that in the French Pyrenees, 100 from any towns, big enough to handle, big enough to produce these plastics, at 1,425 metres above sea level. You can see by the images here that we're talking about a very remote site. That's Toulouse City there, and that's around about 120 kilometres from Toulouse to our study. Right, this is what we found. 11,000 particles per square metre per month deposited in rain, snow and wind. Our survey system didn't differentiate between those particular areas. So all we can say is that per month, these are the numbers that we found deposited in a place that's a long way from anywhere. But to try and work out where that came from, and these large numbers are similar to the megacities of Don Juan and Paris. But to try and work out where they came from, we used some GIS maps and mapped the distances that could have come in each rain, wind and snow event for the periods that we sampled. And looking at these, you can see none of these make it to any large city. These are actually only about 9,000. Right, so for anyone who's thinking about doing their own microplastics, what we've got here is roughly how we do it. Now this is after a great deal of trial and error, a lot of reading literature to try and work out ways of getting the organics out of the samples without damaging the plastic, because they are quite delicate. The plastics, several of them have glassing and melting points of down to 70 degrees Celsius. So if you raise the temperature, you change the morphology, you can't do that. So in order to do further research analysis of it through spectroscopy, we need to clean the plastic as well. So we've chosen hydrogen peroxide, 30%, for a primary 7 days at 55 degrees Celsius. And then we top it up with a 5 ml and leave it for another 7 days. Now, I have seen this done in a paper where they used 100 degrees Celsius for peroxide. They do 12 hours or so, but that is, of course, going to destroy. It's going to destroy a lot of the material, and certainly any of the rayon plastic fibres will be destroyed by that. So we chose for longer periods at lower temperature. Now, you'll note I've said use caution with this. The material safety data sheet has the word detonate in it for a very good reason. Here, this vial with woody organic material has separated from the hydrogen peroxide. Now, while that's warm, it's starting to dry up the peroxide in this material, and it forms crystals which are a bit like nitroglycerin. If you hit them hard, they will explode. So a word of warning, make sure that the material stays wet And if you start to see crystals, get it out of there and get it wet. Add water to it, get the crystals out, and then start it. Now, we haven't gone down the route of Benton reagent, which is adding iron oxide to the mix. What this does is increase the effectiveness of the hydrogen peroxide by a great deal. However, as you can see, with this material climbing up the glass because of gassing underneath it, we didn't need more reaction. We needed less, we needed wider bottles. So a word of advice, use wider vials if you can. The next step, once you've digested all of this and you wind up with a fairly clean material in the bottom, there will be some inorganic materials, things like Saharan dust for us is a big problem because it comes over every year. So we had to density separate using zinc chloride and mild agitation. You need to agitate it because, as you can see, it forms a nice big mat at the top. And if you don't agitate, it stays there. So 1.6 grams per mil of density means that plastics which have a maximum of 1.4 grams will still float, as opposed to things like sand, which are 2.65 grams, and they will sink to the bottom, and we drain them off before filtering this out. Right, analysis. Once you've got these onto filters, you're going to need to find some sort of spectroscopy to work out what sort of plastic it is. Originally, you could just look at the larger material and determine by looks and by hot knife what sort of plastic you had. But these days, we're working down to currently 12 microns, which you need some sort of vibrational analysis. So visual identification down to roughly 1 millimetre. Together all of them from everybody to try and make a simple system. And she did a superb job. And Loader and Gertz and Nora also did similar works, and they're not hard to find, but do this perfectly fine for citizen science and down to 1 millimetre. So you can usually color in the shapes, and then you can break it, then you can bend it. Knowledge. Now, it's received a lot of publicity recently because as a fluorescent material sticks very well to plastic. It will also stick to organics, but not quite as well, and it doesn't go quite as dry. So after you've done your hydrogen peroxide, you shouldn't have a lot of organic left. And what's left, you should be able to tell the difference. You can see some images here from different papers. What this allows us to do is, you can see on a black background, we can use something called BG or Image J, which is an automated image manipulation. So we can actually use that to count the particles, look at the size of them, and give us an overall number. So it's quantification without too much human bias. It's really handy because the rest of it's got too much. FTIR. Now, this is Fourier transform infrared. Now what we've got here, can you see down to the word splitter? Right, so we have a laser, we have an IR source down here, we have a beam splitter. So I've got an image here which, no, I don't, okay. Right, so what we do is we fire light through the beam splitter, which sends half of the light on a bit of a walk around the machine during not a lot. The other half bounces off this moving mirror, which changes the frequency of the light. We send that one out through into the microscope results of it and through our material. Now what this gives us is half a light, let's say taking a walk from one house to the next on a very boring route, He's just walking. The other half of the light, we're going to see him via Asia. He's going to do some coke with the ladyboys. He's going to have a great time. And they're going to arrive back at the same house at the same time. Now, everything that guy that went to Asia did is resonating out of him. And the difference between is what we do with the Fourier transform. That tells us what he got up to. And you can see down here, you see the different lengths here, wave numbers. Now, this one on the left is an antioxidant. This is a piece of plastic. And these UV inhibitor, antioxidant. These are the sort of things that we can actually pull out of the spectrum. So what we have at about 1500, everything below that, down to 200 or so as far as we go, everything below that is our fingerprint zone. You can see it up the top here, but which bonds do what. And unfortunately, I don't have a chemical image here. Essentially, all those pretty pictures you've seen chemists draw chemicals, circles, and you see a little hydrogen sticky bit off the side. Now, I always thought that was just chemists showing off, or an artist impression of chemicals. It's actually not true. Each one of those does something. And you'll see CH, see oxygen and hydrogen, all these bonds, those little sticky atom bits on the drawing, what the Fourier transform infrared does is it shapes them, or it stretches them, or it wiggles them. And they all do it at different wave numbers. If we go back down here, you'll see that that particular material there shook at this wave number, shaking to it there. Right, so each one of them has a signature. So all we do is we turn the light on and shake these little bonds and see what bonds react to different wavelengths. And that's what the FTIR does for us. We don't have to think about it, it just does it. And that's why it's so wonderful. Commercial forensic and academic libraries are everywhere for FTIR. Now, I have no idea why it's different to Raman, but the libraries for FTIR are free. And what it means is that you plug the sample in, you shoot it, and the computer program comes up and tells you what match it's got with its own library. So as long as you can keep you can see on the right, that box, that's got the detector and the liquid nitrogen. So as long as you keep the liquid nitrogen up with the detector, you get a clean signal. The liquid nitrogen is there to try and keep out what's called dark energy, dark light. It's interference from the universe, basically. So we're talking such low power with infrared that the slightest interference will actually be signal noise ratio. So we need to cool that MCT detector down until it's almost frozen, like beyond imagination. So there's an image there which, as it's being recorded, you can come back and look at this later and give you an idea of how the FTIR with a microscope works. Right, FTIR is slow and it's expensive. So liquid nitrogen is not that cheap. It's hard to get hold of in a lot of places. And if we look at Kripke et al., who did some lovely work, but it was 40 hours of continuous scan time per. And put this back into rand, but it's thousands of euros, let alone rands, to try and get one filter data. So clearly, most of us cannot afford to do that. And yet, one filter, 4 days of scanning, because most people don't let run the detector overnight, incorrectly thinking that it's damage it. It doesn't damage it, you just have too much noise and not much use. The other one is having to use anti-Hess filters. This box of 50 circles was 350 euros. That's an expensive habit. And size limitations. From my experience, 20 micron is as small as you can go. But below that, you tend to get false positives and false negatives. But it can't match with the light of the signal is too small. The other thing is that FTIR needs 10 microns worth of material to shake it enough to get you the signal back. So the very smallest material at 10 microns, it doesn't really work. You need it to be up to 20 to get enough material to shift. And 70 to 80%, yeah, that's not exactly perfect, and we all accept it's not perfect. But yeah, when you start to yeah, so when polymers, it actually lays those chemical knobs that we were talking about earlier, lays them in certain patterns. And if we hit it with light in a certain way, it actually can give us a false reading. So technically, we should be turning each of these particle knobs to really get a good signal. And clearly, if we're talking about 20 micron particles, it's not going to happen. And there's hundreds and thousands of particles per day. It's never going to happen. And older microplastics that have been out in the environment, they'll have been bent, they'll have been bashed, and the surfaces will not be perfectly smooth, which means that we will get a lot of culture from that too. So trying to go below that, it's not going to work. And the older FTIR machines, the continuums from Thermo Fisher, they have not really improved upon them. The size limitations are the same now as they were back 15, 20 machines. Raman. Micro Raman is our current weapon of choice. We can shoot reliably down to 5 micron. It's a lot cheaper. No need for anodists or mirror slides. With FTIR, you isolate the particles on a mirror and shoot individual particles, which, if you've ever tried to pick up a 50 micron particle with tweezers, trust us on that. You don't need liquid nitrogen. It uses thermoelectric cooling. It does a fairly similar, but because we're using laser, we're getting a lot back. The way that Raman works is it still shapes those little chemical knobs, but what we do is we take the Rayleigh scatter off them instead. So we're not passing light through it, we're reflecting it off. And the Rayleigh scatter is that, say, 1 in 10 million of the photons that hit it comes back at a certain angle. And the Raman reads that angle, and it reads what wavelength comes back off it. FTIR, it's a scope shift, so the wavelength coming back is slowed down. With Raman, we're actually firing it at it, and it speeds up. So it gets a faster wave, a shorter wavelength. I'm not being clear enough for that. Get it? But yeah, pretty. What people will show you on their papers, you will see on your advertising, large pieces of plastic or other, and they'll give you a perfect spectrum. It's never going to happen. What you see down here on the right is what we consider a very good spectrum, and it looks like a mess. Yeah, that's as good as you're going to get. We're talking about very, very small particles. They're not shaped flat and nice and smooth. They're all sorts of degraded. So yeah, the best you can hope is to get something like that and put it into something called SpectraGroup, which is a free program done by Menges, who's a really nice bloke, and the program has done a very good job. It's easy to get those tiny peaks out and then match them to what we know. That PET has certain peaks in certain places, so we can. But that page there is pretty much what you're going to see through a Raman. Each of those little green dots is where we've clicked to tell the Raman to shoot. So we go through, we click anywhere between sort of 20 and 80 particles for that 450 by 500 micron. and then we go for lunch because it's going to take up to 4 hours to finish it. So if we're lucky, we get 4 to 6 of these scans done in a day. And that's for the motorised stage. If we do it by hand, which we have done, it takes a long time. Right, so what are we doing here in Africa? Now, as I think I mentioned earlier, only percent of the plastic research worldwide is done on Africa, and we're here to try and help sort that problem out. So what we were looking for was an app that would work for everyone in Africa because of its simplicity. So we looked around and found something called Deonie app, which is funded by the European Union and was very kindly to us by Daniel Gonzalez of the University. So we brought that out here to try and see if it was going to be suited for the African situation. And so far it's worked out very well. There's limitations. I think we could probably use a couple of extra buttons, but it's reasonably fast and simple to use because we don't have a lot of battery. So we're here with the SST to try and develop a system that can also be used on paper using the same minimal app, but basically a paper version. The place is not possible or too expensive to use the app on a tablet. And you can see that there. That's the net system Kerry Moss is developing to try and catch the liquid that we can't see. And this is a roughly 2 millimetre mesh, 2 metres wide by 1 metre deep, designed to hang off a bridge, although we're going to test it very soon on boats and see if we can do it without a bridge. So this is our first study location. This is the Lyle Bridge, or the Colour Bridge. Our study site was there. And these are actual transects that we did walking and picking up litter. With the, yes, with Chloe. And you can see that different people got different results. We're not sure whether this is the apps, the people, or the zone, but it certainly looks like there's a lot of variation, and we're going to work a bit further to try and work out what the variable was. You can see it's fairly basic river, it's reasonably deep. But the Scots River is at the end of quite a large, and there's an awful lot of urban development there. So this is the Ringer app. You see there's an awful lot of users from all over Europe. There's a lot of published papers already come out, and there's more coming out. And these participants are pooling their data so that we have a better idea globally of what's going on now. We're also trying to get South Africa's data as well. It's a sea and river monitoring program. The sea part we use for our beach transects, or for our bank transects. It works just the same. Very simple. You click on plastic bag, and it comes up with a list of sizes, 2 to 5 centimeters by 10. So first data coming out of Strathclyde was pretty grim. We could see 80 pieces of plastic from the bridge using the app and the paper, and we compared them and found that they were just found both beside each other, and they were pretty much equal. The net, we got per 2-hour tide window, which equates to roughly half of the outgoing tide. We estimate around 3,000 particles above 2 millimetre per day. That's more than 1 million particles per year coming out. Given that this is a period of very low rainfall, the current drought, we can imagine that that's going to go up substantially. And along the bank of transects, we end up with 5 pieces per square metre, and most of that was food packaging. Most of it didn't. It wasn't large plastic bag. It was and small and very, very bad as well. Yeah, I think that's us. If you have any questions, fire away.
Okay, so if anyone does, please just write your questions in the chat box on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Otherwise, you can also click the small smiley face in the bottom or the middle of your left-hand screen. While you're typing out your questions, I just wanted to take this opportunity to ask you if any of you would like to intern or volunteer with SST, or if you'd like to collaborate with SST on your own research that you're doing, and come pop down here and do your research in the Swartkops, for instance, or if you are part of an organization that does run a fellowship program and you would like them to be or you would like us to be a host, please contact me. It will all fall under the African Waste Academy Young Leaders and Experts Exchange Program, which is what Steve and Dee are part of here at SST. So our first question is, okay, so the first question is, are you working within South African universities?
Yeah, we're working in partnership with Nelson Mandela University with Kerry Moss and Laurie and Fisher Group.
Okay, then the next question, how do we measure NP pollution in the air?
Currently, it's not possible. There's a lot of people looking into it, but nanoplastic, the trouble is we have something called A's law, Beer's law. It's all about the diffraction limits of light. The particle is getting too small for the available wavelengths of light that we fire at it, and it's too small to reflect back anything that we can see. So we can't image below, say, 100 microns, sorry, 100 nanometers. So you can get just below the micron level. But currently, we can't prove that it is a nanoplastic. We can just say it's a nanoparticle. Yeah, are we working with any of the other international marine plastic sampling groups like Five Gyres? Yeah, SST is actually working with Five Gyres, and I believe we have links with many of the other.
So we actually did work with Five Gyres on the initial development of the net design for the river monitoring program, which is what Kerry Moss is heading now. So we do work with them. We also work with the Global Ghost Gear Initiative, which is monitoring of ghost gear. We don't work with Ocean Eye. But thank you. Yeah, maybe we can look into that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
If you have any other organizations you can suggest, that would be awesome.
I'm just looking at what you see regarding the ramen. Picture you marked microplastics. Is that picture taken with the ramen and fluorescence? Oh, you're talking about the Nile Red.
Yeah.
No, talking about the dots. Looking at the tiny green dots with lots of them. Those green dots are generated by the software. It's just a marker to say that we clicked on that particle to tell it to start shooting it. It wasn't actually fluorescence. So when we fire the ramen, the camera goes off. Otherwise, the laser might damage the camera. There was actually some other slides here on what happens if you put too much energy into the ramen. Don't know what happened to those slides. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it because. Okay. We've had a technical glitch there. But basically, you choose how much power to put in with the ramen laser. And what we were putting in was it was 25% laser for 10 seconds on multiple repetitions. If you go above that, you start to do damage to the plastics. And we had holes in plastics. It looks like a bomb crater after I got to turn the laser down. You can adjust it for larger pieces. You can add more laser power to it, get clean signature. But if you forget to turn it back down again, you can work otherwise. Video footage. Yeah, the issue with video footage is going to be leaving the camera behind with theft. It was deemed that because of the problem of theft or personal safety, that was why we decided to make the Rimmel app into a paper version as well, but not standing out an expensive piece of equipment. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, there's also international, yeah, Narosha, there's the international cleanup, coastal cleanup, yes. We're also working with some of the local surfers here in Port Elizabeth to try and get them to record what they collect. There's a lot of volunteer cleanups around. One with the FOC, also does one.
Yes. So actually, Narosha, we did partner with International Coastal Cleanup last year. Kerry was actually was the organizer of our cleanup. What we did is we had a week-long cleanup where we asked participants from local schools, local businesses, and just local community groups to take one day of the week during International Coastal Cleanup time and clean up a specified area. So most of the time they were beaches, but we also believe in, stopping plastic pollution at source. So we actually did do cleanups inland as well. So we do work quite closely with International Coastal Cleanup. And they're actually here this week, my colleague is telling me. So we'll meet up with them again.
Okay, Leela. We know very little about nanoplastics. All we know is that everybody puts the word nanoplastic at the start of their paper, so how long they're going to persist, we don't know. We assume that it will eventually return to its oligomers, break down to just its carbon backbone, but we don't know about the carbon backbone. There's nothing in nature that's quite like it. The polymer backbone is going to last a very long time. And Chris, we personally are not doing the toxic effects. However, we have Anne-Marie Fury here who's studying exactly that at the moment.
So I'll speak on behalf of Anne-Marie. She's a bit shy. So we actually did do some research on the contamination of oysters in our local area, and we found some pretty shocking results. Anne-Marie's actually busy writing up a paper about it with our partners at NTNU, based in Norway. So we are doing research on that. We know that research is quite heavily lacking in that area. So we're working on it.
Cool, yeah. Avoiding picking up background fluorescence through the microscope using Nile red. What we find is that most of the Nile red we've done on quartz filters, which doesn't absorb the Nile red staining. but it can be done on other materials. I wouldn't suggest you probably use polypropylene filters, but anodisc certainly works great. What you find is when you do hit it with the right fluorescent light, make sure that the particles are put in the dark for about an hour before you actually start missing, and keep them cold. The idea of that is when you do hit them, they just glow. Like you cannot miss a piece of plastic with no reason. And yes, Tyler, we totally agree. It is a very highly toxic material. We think it's harming our oceans. We're pretty sure of it. Chris, Granger-based sewer outfall, by Lucy, is that on? I would love to read that. Yeah. And probably when comparing polymers using the FTR, do all the bands and the same polymers have to be exactly the same, and ignore the noise. There's certain variations in each machine on each given day. If the sun is in the wrong spot, there are variations, and you'll find that every machine has a plus or minus per centimetre distance or resolution. And the age of the material, the age of the machine, and if it's your birthday. Honestly, there's as much art in FTIR as there is science, just to get exactly the right spectra out and have it match the library, which was done on generally brand new virgin plastics in large pieces, which gives a perfect signal. So when we're trying to match our environmentally degraded, bashed, knocked it out micro particles, it's very hard to get this out.
Thank you so much, Chris. About that paper, would you mind sending it through to my email, steph@africanwastenetwork.org.za? That would be awesome. Thank you so much. And also thank you for giving us the other organizations that do plastic monitoring.
Anna, yes, we are planning on sampling here in South Africa. How could we not? It's only been done in 2 other cities. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome, Anna. Actually, Narosha, the Nil disaster of 2017, there was attempts to collect data, and yes, Eckhart,
Oceanography? Isn't the oceanography department?
yeah, there has been some research done on it, attempted to model where it went and where it would go, and it actually resulted in a little bit of new data on how particles close to the surface can travel. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name. Maybe if you look at the Bay Museum presentation side of it, it was Dr. Eckhart.
We're searching for his name, Narosha, and we'll type it out in the comments for you.
Chris, friends have eliminating surface effects when trawling at sea. I haven't done any trawling at sea. And by surface effects,
Okay, thank you, Jenny.
Eckhart Schumann's spelling, right? Would have got there eventually. Yeah, Chris, what exactly do you mean by surface effects? You mean the wind blowing on the surface? I think, yeah, you might be thinking of Langmuir spirals or wind spirals, which can draw water from up to 200 metres deep. A strong blow that goes 2 or 3 metres. Yeah, we currently hit the wall that I think a lot of people are doing is everything below a surface trawl is a guess. And there's a few people, certainly in the UK, that are starting to look at different depths and trying to get past those first 200 metres of mixing.
Chris, where are you based? Cape Town. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think the flow meter, I'm not sure you're going to get much out of that because, especially the stuff that Dr. Schumann was talking about, trying to model the top surface and down half a metre to a metre, showing how much of the top actually moves and, against the strong current we have out here on the coast. It might be worth you sending him an email and see what he's actually got to say about it.
So, refuelware and,
Yeah, so we're, no, we're not getting noodles because we're up the estuary and what we're getting is a lot of rubbish out of the towns. Yes, I think there's going to be a recording there.
yes, so we'll upload the recording onto our webpage and our social media, Chris, so you can access the recording.
But if you have any questions, of course, you can email us direct. You can send it to steve.allen, A-L-L-E-N, at strath.ac.uk. I'll type it in here for you. Yes, Narosha. We were kind of surprised actually that it was mostly food packaging. However, if you take a walk in the supermarket aisle here, you probably see why I think it's mostly food packaging. Straws and plastic bags, yeah, great to get rid of them, but there's a lot of other stuff that we can get rid of as well. Thanks, Chris. Oh. Everyone's saying nature paper. Yeah, the research we did on the French pyramids is due to release in the next week or two in Nature Geoscience. So we're all very happy about that.
But you can access it to read it.
Yeah, it will be available free of charge on the Nature website. We paid the extra 30 pieces of silver to make sure it was available to everyone.
Oh.
Narosha, other places to focus like the deepest part of the oceans. Unfortunately, they won't give you a boat. So we're stuck on the land for the moment. But yeah, there'll be a lot of people actually doing it and have found plastic bags at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, which is about as big as it gets. But microplastics, there's been some people doing sediment samples around the ocean, especially the Arctic. And yeah, unfortunately, I found quite a bit, but not enough to actually explain where all the plastics is going. We're getting a lot of plastic going into the ocean, but not as much as we don't see as much as there should be. Chris, I haven't heard of a woman in Indonesia who's running a monitoring program for name and shame, okay? But I'll certainly look that up because I like it. I think if we're going to actually make any dent in this plastic problem, we need to be doing name and shaming. We need to be making some hard and fast rules. Marinedebris.org is international.
Okay, so unfortunately, we're going to have to end the event as Steve and Dee have a very important appointment to attend to at our local university, the Nelson Mandela University. So if you wouldn't mind, if you do still have some questions, just to send them Steve's way, or you can also email me at steph@africanwastenetwork.org.za, and I will certainly put you in touch with Steve or answer any questions if I can. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this amazing talk today, and thank you so much, Steve, for presenting as part of the African Waste Academy. It's wonderful to have you here, and wonderful to have you part of our webinar series. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and keep in touch.
Bye.
Bye.